Welcome, everyone. This is Eric L. Dunavant, the Mindset Disruption Strategist. We are here for another episode of Redefining Success, the Kingdom Builder Spotlight. Joining me today is Justin Breen, the founder, CEO of BrEpic, author of Epic Business and his newest book, Epic Life. Justin, thank you so much for joining me today.
Faith, focus, family, financial, and I'll add a fifth F, fun.
I like all of those. Hey, would you, real quick before we get started, tell my audience about yourself without talking about your business?
Well, the most insulting question that someone can ask me is, what do you do? Because no one cares. That's a business owner transactional question. Most of my days talking to the world's top entrepreneurs, so we never never talk about what you do. So I'm a dad who happens to be an entrepreneur, married a stabilizing human, pediatrician wife, thank God. She's almost your Colby twin, and our sons are 8 and 10, and they are both 9 quick start 2 follow through maniac visionaries. So
you're at a busy time at 8 and 10. That's a fun time, though. That's a fun
faith,
time.
focus, family, financial, fun.
Yeah, there you go. Faith, focus, family, financial, fun. What are you passionate about right now?
Well, most of my days talking to the world's top ideators, and so there's shiny object, shiny object, shiny object, shiny. So they're people changing the world. And then I'm hyper focused. So I only ask myself 2 questions each day that actually matter. 1, did I have a good experience that day with my family? I found that every day the answer to that is yes. And then 2, did network grow on a global level? When you increase your network on a global level, you create endless opportunities for your network and yourself. So I haven't done anything outbound or no gimmicks in years. You just create value for highest people on planet, and then they create value for you. And that allows me to spend time with my family. So that's my focus every day. That's the only focus I have. Have you seen Hero Dreams of Sushi, the documentary?
No, I haven't.
You're 8 fact finder. I'm an 8 fact finder also. Our 8 fact finders would like it. So Hero was a 3-star Michelin chef. He had a 10-seat restaurant, 3-star Michelin chef. And it was in like a subway thing in Tokyo. Like when you go down to a subway exit so this is a 3-star Michelin restaurant. So his whole life, I'm not sure if he's still alive, but his whole life he just spent making sushi. And he said the key to life, and he has a family, but the key to life is to find your skill that you're good at and then just master it every single day. So I master my skills of being a dad who happens to be an entrepreneur, and then network on a global level. Just master it every day.
I love that. Tell me a little bit about the journey. I mean, most people don't just discover this by themselves So how did you get to be able to kind of turn your life upside down by emphasizing the right things?
Well, so, you're either born top entrepreneur on planet or you're not. I strongly feel, you're with what happened with your dad's business and then your mom before high school, most people would turn those into excuses and then not create big global company. They wouldn't do that. Why? Because they're not top entrepreneur on planet and they make excuses. Yeah. So you're either born like this or you're not. Most people I think most people would choose to make as much money as they want to, do what they like to do, make sushi every day. Yep. And I think but they make excuses. So entrepreneurs, all I do is simplify things into patterns. I'm guessing your brain's kind of like that too, the way you just realized that. But yeah, I can see the answer. But so I talk to the top ideators, they're all over the place, and then I hear blah, 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 and then simplify into a pattern. Okay. So entrepreneurs, not business owners, not humans, not consultants, entrepreneurs, most damaged people with best coping skills. So what does that mean? Yeah, right. Your pattern brain will appreciate all this because you have 4 Fs and then here's 4 things. So these are the 4 things that separate entrepreneurs from humans. And then my firm's partner only with entrepreneurs, not business owners, because business owner stuff bores me. I don't understand it. Okay, so I have not met one person like us, not one, that hasn't overcome at least one of the following 4 things. Most are 2 or 3. The really successful ones are almost always 3s and 4s. Most of them are all 4s now. So here's the 4 things. 1, bankruptcy or potential bankruptcy. You can check these off when I say them, by the way.
Yeah, I know exactly. I've
Okay.
been there.
Yeah, I've already bankruptcy or potential bankruptcy. 2, depression. 3, highest level of anxiety that you can imagine. 4, likely and or possible traumatic experiences as a child or young adult. So humans, business owners, consultants, those are excuses. Entrepreneur at highest level, figure it out. I mean, that's what, right.
Yeah.
So you're either born like that or you're not, because most people make excuses. They're not born like that. If you are born like that, which is rare, again, maybe my firm's partnered with 0.1% of the population. So out of 8 billion, that's 8 million. So you're that 8 million. So if you are born like that, what did you say? Flip the script, that you can, work on your mindset every day. So I just focus on abundance, visionary investment mindset, and spending time with my family and growing network.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. What did you say? Number 4 was.
Oh, I'll read into them again. Sure. So bankruptcy or potential bankruptcy, 2, depression, 3, highest level of anxiety that you can imagine, and 4, likely and or possible traumatic experiences as a child or young adult.
So the funny thing is, and I don't know how it is for you, but and probably for the other entrepreneurs, is I still like to throw myself into high anxious.
Why would you not do
places.
that? Yeah, that's the only way to learn anything.
That's right.
Yeah, so you don't, right. So the other interesting thing is that your first F is faith. Most successful, not all, but most of the successful entrepreneurs that I talk to believe in a higher power. Now, I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about that's different. Whatever religion it is fine. But and the only proof I need that there's a higher power is someone like my wife married someone like me. So that's somewhat a joke, but I'm being serious. Like my wife is full empathy, love, warmth, pediatrician rules, all that stuff. And then, so that makes no sense. But other than there's a higher power, but I'm just very grateful for that. And then it's comforting to have, when you go into high risk, high nervous situation, that there's something out there guiding.
Yeah. So tell us about what part of your experience launched you into this? I mean, you're talking about bankruptcy. Did you face that? Have you kind of what brought you here? Tell us your story.
Here's the brain. Okay. I'm relating to your brain. On the strength finders, there's 34 of them. Gallup Clifton strength finders. I'm 7th in relator. So I'm relating to trying to relate to your brain. Okay. And then my wife's like, stop identifying people as numbers, but that's how I see
it seems to be where your head goes.
Like total but so there's a 2-part answer to that. There's a 2-part. So I was born to be this person. My dad was 61 when I was born. My mom was 27, 61, 27. Dad would be 107 if he was alive now. He was a World War II hero. He was shot down multiple times in combat, many times without a parachute, got back into a plane. So that's my litmus test. You either can get into a plane without a parachute after another one has been shot down, or you make an excuse. And I just don't understand. It makes no sense to me. Your dad, my dad, I think somewhat similar in terms of visionaries and wanting to grow business. My dad became attorney in Nuremberg trial, Nazi war crime trial, president of an insurance company. His best friend, when I was 5, was assassinated in a famous mafia hit, and that's one of my first memories is my dad protecting us because they thought they were going to kill him next.
Wow.
And then my mom was 27. So that's my dad. Okay. So you're either born like this. Okay. And then my mom, 27. So in his late 50s, a drunk driver hit my dad head on. Drunk driver killed instantly. And my dad broke every bone in his body. And when he woke up, my mom was there. She was his nurse. And she literally is your Colby twin, 8642. All I do is talk to people like us. I haven't met one of them with more hustle than my mom ever. She's still alive. She's the ultimate survive and thrive. Ultimate. Not an entrepreneur, but the ultimate survive and thrive. And so here I am. Okay, so that's one. And then get back into a plane without a parachute after another one has been shot down. So a little over 6 years ago, I was a journalist for 20 years. So a little over 6 years ago, had job salary cut in half, couldn't find a job. So with zero business background, incorporated. Over the next 6 weeks, while I was working full time at half salary, I reached out to 5,000 people to find first 5 clients. Most people can't do that because you're not like that. So
Yeah.
got fifth client, resigned next day, and then Robert Feeder, who at the time was top media columnist in the Midwest, did a story. I'd started my own firm. So that was just the start, first company. Now 2 that only partner with top visionaries on planet. So
Wow. You reached out to 5,000 people?
well, yeah, that's entrepreneur life. Why would most people can't do that.
When did you say that was?
February 10th, 2017 to June 5th, 2017 is when that article came out.
Okay. Wow. Tell us a little bit about kind of the first book. I know you've got Epic Life coming out. Tell me a little bit about Epic Business.
So I'm very grateful that Chris Foster wrote Never Split the Difference did the forward and very things. And then that came out in 2020, right in the heart of COVID. And for first company's 30-month anniversary, which was in 2019, published a list of 30 things I had learned from top entrepreneurs on the planet in the company's first 30 months. And at the time, I think I had 40,000 followers on social media, something like that. And then everyone's like, oh, you have to write a book. So I'm like, okay. So, and then the newest one, which just came out, I'm very grateful that Dr. Peter Diamandis, who's one of the top entrepreneurs in the world, he's one of Elon Musk's best friends. He did the forward, and then it just hit Wall Street Journal, USA Today bestseller list. Very grateful for that, and it was #1 overall on Amazon Kindle for sales. Not one of the subcategories, the whole thing. And then it's about how to build collaborative global companies while putting your loved ones first. I talk to 1 to 2 people like us every single week that have let entrepreneur life destroy their family life or prevented them from anything meaningful. So that book's about how to build collaborative global companies while putting your loved ones first, which is a good idea.
Yeah. How many did you said you run into entrepreneurs? I mean, I know they're out there. You're actually having conversation with entrepreneurs who have got that messed up, who are not putting
1 to 2. So entrepreneurs, most damaged people with best coping skills. And they use those coping skills to create massive wealth, massive company, massive whatever that is, massive cars and garage. Yeah. Certainly not always, but many times at the expense of family, meaning, so I talk to 1 to 2 a week that have let entrepreneur life destroy their family life.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a bad idea.
Yeah, it is a little bit of a bad idea. What have you found a way or anything that gets their attention, or they have to burn it to the ground before they realize?
Many times they have to burn it to the ground, but in terms of that specific thing, my favorite chapter in the new book is winning the wrong game. That's something someone who's a very smart entrepreneur can ask themselves, what game are you winning? And most of the time they're smart enough when they ask themselves, they can realize what the answer actually is. But sometimes they don't even realize what game they're winning. You
were in journalism for 15 years?
20, yeah. And 20. Still, I mean, nothing has changed. I was an entrepreneur who happened to be a journalist, and I just run 2 companies where purpose of my life is to be connecting superhero for every visionary who shares their stories with the world. So I'm a visionary sharing story with the world. It's just being a litmus test for people you serve. But in terms of the journalistic aspect, nothing has changed at all since going from journalism to this. It's still writing about and connecting cool people changing the world. So.
Yeah. When you got started in that, did you have kind of a definition of what you thought it would look like to be successful in that?
Great question. No one's ever asked me that. So you get back into a plane without a parachute. You never stop. You never give up. I guess the word goal, the goal was to eventually make it to the Chicago market. It was very difficult. I finally got there after like 14 years of like, so I was at a small paper, then a medium paper, then a large paper. Then I was an executive editor of a medium paper. But basically every Chicago outlet had rejected me. And then a new one started, and that was the one which was a perfect fit for how my brain works. That was the one that hired me, and then that was also the place where job salary was cut in half. But I'm very grateful for I'll be forever grateful for being there. And so you worked whole life to get to that point, and then it's 20 years, you're like, well, plane just got shot down. Figure it out. That's what it is. Yep.
So that pulls the rug out from underneath you on that, so that's successful. It sounds like it's just the way that you're wired and the way that your DNA is made up. But as you were making those 5,000 connections, as you're kind of pulling everything together, what was the new definition of success? Was it the family? Be a dad first, an entrepreneur second?
Well, that's always been, so that's an excellent question. So when you're a journalist, you don't get into that for employee count, office space. I still don't know what an S corp is because I think it's funny to not know what that is. So when I started first company, I didn't know you had to pay taxes 4 times a year. Like, don't understand.
Right.
So it was always about purpose. When job salary was cut in half, and we live in North Shore, Chicago, which is a fairly wealthy upper middle class. Yep. And we had just bought a house. We had bought a house. I'm trying to think when we bought it. We had bought it 2 years before that. So initially, again, I had zero business background. Initially reaching out to 5,000 people, and why I had to resign, or why I resigned when I got 5th client, was because that amount on a monthly income was the same as what my salary was as a journalist before salary was cut in half. But yeah, I didn't know what I was doing. So I just realized I was always this person. I just didn't realize it until starting entrepreneur journey. This has just helped me evolve into the person I always was. It's just a more evolved version of it.
How were your kids were how old when this started?
They were like 2 and 3 or 4.
Okay.
Or something like that. They're 8 and 10 now.
So your wife had the pediatrician work going.
Yes.
How did you have to convince her it was okay for you to go out on your own? I guess since you had the 5th client.
That's a great question. That's another great question. No, because this is, and again, she's almost your Colby twin, 8-7-4-2, you're 8-6-4-2. So that, for the most part, by the way, that's a stabilizing human Colby. That is not a visionary. There are exceptions to that. You are like a selective visionary. I can hear it in you. But for the most part, that's a stabilizing human. And then you went through the most unstable amount of childhood. I talked to a lot of folks with unstable childhoods, but yours is right up there. But so in 6 years as an entrepreneur, I've had 6 great ideas, 6, so 1 a year. If I have a great idea, the only person I bounce it off of where the opinion actually matters to me is my wife. So when I first started, first thing I go, oh, you think they'll do a good job with this? She's like, yes. So I'm like, okay. Because she doesn't say, she's a stabilizing human. She's not. Right. So she said, yes. So I said, okay. That's all I needed to hear. I didn't have to convince her at all. If it was a bad idea, she would have said, don't do that.
Yeah, but how many entrepreneurs won't ask that question of their spouse?
No. No. Those aren't entrepreneurs. No. An entrepreneur would ask.
Well, I hope they would. I guess I would say that I've met a lot who try and what I find to be, you can tell me differently, My experience is that a lot of entrepreneurs try to compartmentalize things. Business is over here, life is over here, this is here, this is here. So I may be an entrepreneur, but I don't bring my spouse into what I'm doing business wise. And maybe you see that different. Maybe you found that to be different.
For the big decisions. So I see things with patterns. Now, see, you're a stabilizing human. You are. I mean, that's what your Colby says. So usually people like me marry stabilizing humans. Usually, I always ask people like me. I was like, "Oh, is your spouse a nurse or a pediatrician or a social worker or a school teacher?" And I'm like, "Well, how'd you know that?" I'm like, "Well, imagine marrying yourself." So the really big things, they bounce them off of. Yeah. But not everything, because the stabilizing human won't understand what an entrepreneur is doing anyway. It won't matter.
Right. With the number of, so you get to talk to so many people. I'd love to kind of, from your perspective on what you're seeing right now, what are entrepreneurs getting right now in a post-COVID world? With what are they doing well? The entrepreneurs that are succeeding.
So, thank you. So, most of my day, again, I don't talk to business owners or consultants, or like, there's none of that stuff is boring to me. If you look at it within a strictly revenue thing, which I don't, but most people do. Most of the people I talk to are running 8 to 10 figure companies. And so there's very little, what do you do? The other annoying question that people ask me is, can I pick your brain? That's super annoying. That's, can I waste your time, is what that means.
Yeah.
So we usually talk about life, family, if there is a family, purpose. And so business owners, consultants and stuff, they care about revenue, office space, employee count, all that stuff. They're trying to change their world there. And then a true visionary, they care about purpose, spending time with loved ones, really. And so they're changing the world, not their world. So in terms of success, it's about changing the world. I mean, I'll just look at, okay. So today I talked to one of the top entrepreneurs in Africa. I think she's 31, Forbes 30 under 30. She's revolutionizing Africa and the tech world. And I talked to a woman who was forced to rob a bank with her daughter. She was held at gunpoint, her and her daughter, when her daughter was 7. Then she was forced to rob a bank and then had to go to trial because they thought she was robbing a bank, which she did. Yeah. Okay, so then I talked to another entrepreneur. She was that woman was in San Diego, and then this woman was in the other one was in Texas. And her father ran a car dealerships. Was making, she said he was making $1 million a month she's 64 now, so probably. What would that be? Well, her first company she started, she was running the books for him when she was 17 for $1 million a month.
Wow.
So she's super interesting. And then she's writing her 4th book. She was talking to me about that. And then another one of my friends, he's become a great friend. He's based in Wyoming. But he has a global company that is starting to talk about making nuclear reactors. Around, first starting in Wyoming, but then around the world. So but we barely ever talk about business. We talk about life. So that's success to me. And then they're very grateful for me because I can hear blah, 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 and then simplify and be like, oh, you need to meet this person. And I'm very grateful for them because they want to change the world and they'll take action and make the investment to do it.
Yeah. What are they missing? I don't want to say getting wrong, but I mean, what are they missing the mark on right now?
Well, what everyone's missing is having the right connections. I mean, that's what, if you have the right mindset, it attracts the right network and creates the right opportunities. And then what I've seen with life is that if you have the right mindset, it attracts the right network, creates the right connections, and you can never have enough right connections. That's what I see. And that's how my brain is totally focused on my family and network. So
Yeah. Yeah. What's the number one thing you're teaching to your boys right now that you think will make a difference for them in 20 years?
the number So that's a better question for my wife. My wife tells me before parent teacher conferences, don't say anything. And then my advice for my children is misdemeanor, somewhat okay, felony bad, and then silly, okay, stupid, not. So that's my parent. My dad took me to Platoon when I was like the movie Platoon. I think I was 8 or 10, and then something like, and then RoboCop. So that's how I was raised.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my teaching is we actually talk about people's Colby scores a lot, and then we talk about the freedom of being an entrepreneur. Why, like after school, I pick them up after school a lot, and then I play football with them. And then I've basically taught an entire generation of kids at my son's school how to play football because their dads are never there. So I'm like, guys, why do you think I'm here and then their other dads aren't? And so that's what we talk about. And then I've never treated them like children ever. So they're like little adults.
Talk a little bit more about that, because I think that makes a big difference on how kids turn out.
Well, talk to me is meaningless without an action and answer. So my dad, I got my dad after he had survived like like everything horrible imaginable. And then I got, like 8 good years of him just being happy to be alive and have a family. So
right.
every day when he was alive, from like when I was like 5 to 13, he would say the cream rises to the top, the cream rises to the top. So that's the first chapter in Epic Life book. And then we just partner with the cream that rises to the top, or someone that will do whatever it takes to rise to the top. So no excuses. I mean, okay, whatever happened to you, okay. I mean, terrible, figure it out.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a tough thing that you went through. Okay, figure it out.
Yeah.
My dad also died in 8th grade, although technically your mom died right before 9th grade, a day before, right? A day.
Yeah, I buried my mom the day before I started my freshman year of high school. Literally the day before. I went to high school the next day.
Right, of course. So my dad had a heart attack. We buried him. It was on a Sunday. I went to school Monday, and the teachers are like, what are you doing here? I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do?
Right. Yeah.
You figure it out.
Right.
Okay. I mean, it's not, okay. So I'm sorry you went through that, but I also understand. Okay. So, well, most human adults teach their children how not to lose. I've done a pretty good job teaching them how to win. So I don't understand. I mean, I just don't understand people making excuses. So, and then my wife has taught them how to say thank you, how to have friends, how to have a brain and be smart. And I mean, I'm smart too, but my wife's a different level of smart in that scientific world. So it's a really interesting mix of like full maniac with like, hey, they're like popular in school and have friends and stuff and do nice things in school. So that's good. Yay.
Justin, it's been a ball. We're going to run out of time here soon. Is there anything you didn't get to share that you wanted to make sure you shared while we were together?
Yeah, you have an interesting brain, and you've done a great job with your life. Great job. So again, I simplify into patterns. So I keep making bigger investments into smaller rooms, but the people in those rooms are making bigger impact. That allows me to spend biggest investment in smallest room, which is my family, where I can make most impact. So bigger investment, small room, people in those rooms are making bigger impact, and it eliminates people that make excuses. And then that allows me to spend most time with my family. It's the same formula.
Yeah. I love that. Where can people follow you, get the book, stay up to date with what's going on? Where's the best place for that?
Thank you for this. I appreciate it. See, my wife taught me how to say thank you. So that's me. Doing what she taught. And the book's called Epic Life. It's all over world. And then the main website is BrEpicLLC.com. BrEpicLLC.com.
BrEpicLLC.com. We'll have that in the show notes. Justin, my last question is always the same. So in 3 generations, What do you hope your great-grandchildren remember about you?
Great. So that's an interesting thing. I'm 45 now, plan to live to 123, although that will change to probably 140, 150. The technology is coming soon. One of the groups I'm in, Abundance 360, where they're showing us the technology that it's coming soon that will allow people to live to 200, 300 years. So frankly, I expect to be around for at least great-grandchildren. But main goal is to be at grandchildren's wedding in a functional capacity.
Yeah.
And then, you know, what really matters to me is that the lessons that I'm teaching my children get passed to their children, and then their children, and then their children. That's really what matters to me more than anything.
Well, you're doing a great job. I appreciate you being with me here today and sharing your wisdom. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and it was been such a good visit. Everyone, we will be with you again next time. Have a fantastic day. God bless you.